Hello everyone, welcome to my series 3D Weapons Reimagined. Now first things first, my name is Isaiah Singleton, and I am a working 3D modeler who has a passion for video games as a whole. I wanted to present this series as a passion project focused on bringing iconic video game weapons that haven't had the chance to experience that next generation treatment. I'll be looking across various video game franchises with a set of ground rules for scouting out iconic video game weapons. Here they are. So for this series, the first rule for finding a suitable weapon is that 1. The weapon must be iconic and also unique. The weapon needs its own identity, being able to stand out in its own right, and not be indistinguishable from similar regular weapons. As such, weapons like Resident Evil 4 Striker 12 gun, iconic in its own right due to the Ditman glitch, isn't necessarily iconic compared to other Striker 12 guns. The second rule for this series is that 2. The weapon must be from a franchise that hasn't had a major release since the PS3 era, and this sweet spot is around before 2010. I want to emphasize this rule in regards to the notion that I'm reimagining older weapons, as we can see how these weapons may look with higher detail, 4K textures, etc. in a modern era. And this rule perfectly ties into our third rule, which is having creative liberty. Since I'm reimagining the models, it's common for designers to add or improve upon the design of previous models. Likewise, I plan to alter, change, or even add things to these models to make it more unique, both within the modeling and texturing pipeline. These rules are to ensure that our mission is consistent. So, with these rule sets in mind, I think we're ready to move on to the focus of today's episode. Episode 1 will focus on GMOD. GMOD, short for Garry's Mod, is a game that needs no introduction for the people who've grown up alongside YouTube. Now starting as a Half-Life 2 mod, GMOD is responsible for many memories of the PC gaming community, with game modes like Prop Hunt, GMOD Towers, and Trouble in Terrorist Town come to mind when thinking of the various games that this sandbox game has spawned. YouTubers such as C9nurse's Trouble in Terrorist Town series with friends.
Holy crap! Holy crap! Somebody walk in front of me. Somebody walk in front of me, please.
What the? Whoa! Fuck, guys! What is that gun?
It's a gun. I don't know. I have it. I found it.
Phenos Gaming's Sandbox Madness. And Venturian Tales versatile videos on GMOD have shaped the game's legacy into legendary status. But the most important contribution that GMOD arguably, in my opinion, has had on the internet culture is its machinimas made inside of GMOD. And this time period of the internet, in retrospect, was truly something special. Now there is nothing more synonymous than the early 2010s and GMOD machinima videos. These videos were made by people around the same age as me, just wanting to make videos that were fun to create and even funnier to watch. The internet was a small place at this period, but it was filled with people who just wanted to have fun. A lot of videos and even series have spawned from GMOD, but if we were to name a few legendary videos, there would be the Idiot Box, Idiots of Garry's Mod, Team Fabulous 2, and Heaviest Spy come to mind. Now, the nostalgia for these videos of early YouTube are quite unmatched. However, it is quite important to recognize that none of these machinimas would be possible if not for the ingenuity of GMOD's sandbox abilities. And the true heart of this freedom of ingenuity comes in the form of GMOD's most iconic weapon, the tool gun. Created by the late Dave Hunt, aka Devore, the tool gun is what made many of Garry's Mod machinimas possible, with its repertoire of diverse tools that can allow for pretty much anything. Now, its list may be noticeably short, but the possibilities are endless, and these possibilities are just limited by the player's mind and creativity. The workshop on the Steam page is a perfect example of this, with thousands of favorite submissions available made solely by the tool gun. It's also important to note that the tool gun is a very destructive weapon that must be respected for its power. Or not. Well, depending on how you use it. But anyways, what's important to take away is that the tool gun is the most iconic weapon from Garry's Mod. However, this tool gun hasn't seen any changes since its inception since 2006. It's relatively low poly and uses very low res textures indicative of its time period. So, using both my software of choice, Maya and Substance Painter, I will make it my mission to give this nostalgic weapon a good looking makeover to bring new life into the toolgun. And as a side note, this model will be available, free to download for anyone who may be interested. So, let's begin. But first, let's head over to Maya first. So here we are in Maya, and this is actually the reference image I chose to do for this project. Now, as you can see, the toolgun, just from the reference image, looks very, very low poly, even from the faded, image production of the reference image. So I'm going to do a few creative liberties for this project as well. As you can see from just the image itself, since as you can see, the tape here, or the electrical wires here, just to feel a bit more outdated, it looks more flat. The same goes for the coil here. The coil is very, very compact. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to actually model the coils individually themselves. Now this is going to drive up the poly count pretty high, but I think it's going to be very manageable considering the fact that this is also going to be downloaded. So I'm going to get started on actually the coil here. So let's get started, shall we? So here's the progress I've made so far in my toolgun. As you can see, I've modeled out actually the main frame barrel and the rotating barrel here. I mean, not the barrel, the cylinder. Sorry about that. I've also modeled the handle as well, but you can see some pinching going on there, which I plan to fix as well. I'm just doing this as a regular blockout model to get a sense of the scale, the proportions, and everything as well. So this is the progress I made so far. I'm going to do the trigger handle and possibly do the coils on here next, and also do the barrel as well. So here we are at the next stage of progress for my toolgun. So as you can see here, progress is going along very, very well. The coils are actually modeled in, although it's a very, very tight torus. Not torus, it's a what's the tool called here? It's called a pipe. No, helix, sorry. It's a very, very tight helix construction here. And also I've taken the liberty to model the LCD display here, along with the two components here. The barrel is looking very, very good so far. And the trigger is very smoothed out, as I've taken the liberty to do that as well. And the handle is looking just fine over here. So I think next time I'm going to actually model, or not next time. So next I'm going to tackle getting the frame for this done as well, and also modeling the wires for the top as well. So let's get started on that, shall we? So that's a check-in here. We've actually modeled in these gadgets here. So here's the main battery, or the main battery that's connected to the power cord here. And here's the subject battery right here that connects to the module here. And that's connected to these cords here that run through both the battery. And the battery goes to here, which powers the barrel here to rotate and everything. And here's the battery that connects to the motherboard here. So kind of skipped this much when it came to the modeling process. Sorry about that. But I've also modeled in the, this, I don't know what to call it, sorry. But it's something that's present on the reference image. I don't know what to call it, since it's never actually used in game and never seen it used in game. But that's there just to model it. And here, I've actually modeled the paper. It's actually a side note that's present on the toolgun. It's kind of a funny joke there, I believe, with the thumbtack attached to it. And also, another creative liberty that I've taken forward is to create 2 more additional smaller LCD screens here. Now, these LCD screens are going to be various in what they provide for the tool gun. I plan for this bottom tool gun to be a fingerprint scanner, as the fingerprint scanner is relatively a safety precaution, since the tool gun can be a very destructive weapon. I think Gary would appreciate it if he had a tool gun, I think Gary would actually appreciate it if there was a fingerprint scanner here, because this is a very, very dangerous weapon, and you would not want it to fall into the wrong hands. And this top LCD screen is something more for your vitals, such as your health, body temperature, etc. So this is the progress I've gotten so far on my model. Now the next thing I want to do is to actually model in the tape. I did say I was going to model in tape more, but I realized I had to model everything else in prior to doing that. So let's just start on the tape now, shall we? And I think the tape here is actually going to be, once again, go to the sweep mesh tool, but we're going to create the curves for those first. So we got to go into isolate select mode and create our curves here, and that's going to sweep the mesh around those curves to be able to create tape. So here we are with the surface details of our tool gun. Now, as you can see, I was pretty much literal on conserving space for the circuit board. Only provides about 2 capacitors, about 4 ICs, and this is a special module here that I actually also wanted to add to the tool gun as a creative liberty. So this creative liberty is a laser pointer. Now, in the original Garry's Mod release, the tool gun is very notorious for just being a beam. And you have your crosshair to assist you in doing this, but sometimes the alignment is just not it, and it causes a lot of, displacement problems. So as a protective measure, I'm going to add this tool gun here as, just a little fun thing that Gary might need to assist him in, aiming the tool gun and duplicating or placing stuff where he wants it to be. So that's this attachment right here, and the service detail for the circuit board reads pretty well. A lot of things that are needed, things that are essential, and everything here looks pretty good so far. So with this all connected and all modeled, I think we can move on to the UV wrapping phase. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the UV wrapping phase, since this is quite literally a very simple model, geometrically speaking. A lot of cylinders, a lot of squares, a lot of stuff like that. So we're gonna just spend some time on UV unwrapping this. I'll show you the final product, and then we can get into texturing. So here we are at the end of the UV unwrapping phase. Now, I did take the time to properly name everything when I get to this phase, as I want to categorize all of the texture sets, or separate texture sets, that are going to be going into this model. So as such, we have the copper and coil right here, as you can see from the UV unwrapping here. We have the tapes, the wire, and the paper here for our, accessories for the wires, tape, and paper. The circuit board here and its full entirety here. Pretty clean UVs there. The main gun frame here. Also very clean, very clean. The barrel and the grip separately. The batteries and the terminals. And the front display. And that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually combine all this as one concise mesh, send it to Substance Painter, and then we can get on to texturing and bringing this tool gun to life. Looking pretty forward to it. So here's my progress so far on texturing the tool gun. Now, the primary wires here to connecting to the batteries and the laser sight are red. Wanted to keep the color scheme consistent for that one. And also for the wires here, I did the standard wire color palette for the wires here. And for the tape here, the tape really reads especially well. I got this tape from the community tab for Substance 3D Painter, which I think looks really, really good. So next I'm going to texture I'm going to get to the main thing like the circuit board and the LCD last. Everything else is pretty much fair game, as it's pretty much very simple solid materials to be used here. So next I'm going to actually probably model the barrel here. So let's get to that then. So here we are with our progress on the LCD and the copper wire. The copper wire is finally modeled here, tightly wrapped, or procedurally wrapped I would say. And here is the terminal display here. Little joke there for those who might enjoy it. As well, I did do the text for the LCD display and these little notes that are present on the tool gun. Now nextly, I'm going to actually make the screen less transparent and a bit more opaque. And so not really glass, but more so a glass that's made for an LCD display. And nextly, I'm going to add the textures and the detail here for the scanner, fingerprint scanner, and the vital signs here. And then after that, we can get onto the circuit board. Looking forward to it. Let's do it. So here we are with the finished LCD model, and I think this part really brings the tool gun to life. So what I did, I actually imported the original texture back into the tool gun, which can be found in the games. Also added the fingerprint scanner here with the little heads up text down here as well. And for the vital section, just a little bit more icons that should dynamically change when the wielder is experiencing different conditions. But here, just the stock things that you would expect from your vitals, such as your beats per minute, your artificial health, that goes down when you get damaged, your body temperature, which should dynamically change whether or not you get burned, which can happen in the game, and your blood pressure, which, is tied to your health, as your blood pressure would get a bit more loose as you lose more blood, so that's a nice touch there. And as well, we also got to the circuit board. Now the circuit board's a lot more simplistic in design. Made a lot more designs as well, such as the capacitors here are just steel. The ICs, they're arbitrary numbering. I don't know what they mean, but I followed a random source as an example. And everything here looks very fine, very dandy. And here is basically the completed model of the new and improved tool gun for this project. So I'm going to actually import this back into Maya, get some nice lights set up, get up the sky dome set up, and do some nice quality beauty renders with our tool gun. So we can look forward to that after that. So I'm going to actually export the textures here, and I'll see you guys back in Maya. And that concludes episode 1 of 3D Weapons Reimagined. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and for the few who would also enjoy the model, it's free, ready to download with a link in the description for your own rendering. It's important to acknowledge that I don't have a schedule for this series yet, as I'm currently in college improving my skills with Maya and other programs. Regardless of that, I hope you all have a wonderful day and see you next time. And once again, thank you for watching.